Today, we are going to be discussing the top 10 signs you are being emotionally abused. Many times, we realize we are in an emotional, abusive relationship or friendship hindsight. This individual can be a family member or several, a relationship you are in or were in. It can be a coworker, someone at church, a friend, or even a neighbor. If you are wondering if you are or were ever in a relationship with an emotional abuser, this video may be able to give you some insight. Now, before I begin, I want to make this disclaimer that this or any other videos that I make is never to bash or blame anyone. It is simply to educate and expose the personality disordered individuals who are sheepishly creating havoc and destroying lives. It is now getting harder for them to operate because of this awareness. People are exposing their schemes, and that is the goal of the videos I produce. So let's begin. The first thing you will notice if you are being emotionally abused by a covert narcissist is the gaslighting. Gaslighting is a tactic used by a manipulator to cause confusion and cognitive dissonance. It is an assault on someone's psyche to cause them to question their own sanity. For instance, you and a toxic individual may have had some plans to go out on Saturday. Saturday comes and you text them that you are on the way to the event. They text you back confused, stating that you all did not plan the event, you only spoke about it. You send them a copy of the conversation which shows the agreement. They then get mad at you and blame you for being insensitive and needy for not understanding their last-minute change of plans. Or, for instance, your friend gives you a backhanded compliment. When you address her, she rages at you because you can never take a joke and then discards you. Or maybe your father promised that he will go half with you on a car. The day comes when you are ready to purchase the car. When you ask for the money, he tells you that he never said he would give it to you, only that he was thinking of giving it to you. When you stand on your truth because you all have spoke on it several times, he becomes passive-aggressive and makes hint at how ungrateful you are. These are all forms of gaslighting. As you can see, it places doubt within your mind and causes you to disconnect from your reality. It is a power move that is meant to render you weak and confused, trusting in the abuser more than you trust in yourself. If this is continually done, you will eventually completely disconnect from yourself and become completely dependent on the reality of the abuser. This places them in complete control of you, just the way they intended it. How would someone guard against being gaslit? You have to ground yourself in your reality. Be immovable in your reality. In that confusing conversation, express that although the two of you do not agree on the details of the deal, you are completely sticking to what you believe you heard or saw. This sends them the message that you are not weak and you are choosing to keep your power instead of give it away. Firmly hold on to the truth that you know. The second sign is that this person lacks empathy, guilt, or remorse. This goes without saying, but these individuals are missing a key component that makes humans human. Empathy is the ability to understand or feel what someone else is feeling from that person's point of view. You're essentially putting yourself in that person's shoe and being able to say, wow, if that were me, I will feel this way, fill in the blank. Someone with a personality disorder does not have this capacity. Therefore, their ability to abuse and exploit is endless. These individuals can physically attack you, but many prefer to emotionally abuse and torment their target instead. The lack of empathy, guilt, or remorse allows them to push you to the limit as they have none. There is nothing inside of them that gives them any signal that they are going too far. And if we add sadism to the mix, which many of them have, we then have someone who enjoys inflicting this pain and who won't let up. So how do you know if someone lacks empathy? Tell them something you are going through. If they are unable to hold space for you and offer compassion, this may be a sign. You may tell someone how what they did caused you a great deal of hurt. If they blame you, tell you you are too sensitive, give you the silent treatment to punish you, get angry at you, dismiss you, or play the victim, this person lacks empathy. Of course, we also want to look for patterns. As someone doing this once, it may be a coincidence. Personality disorder is defined by a pervasive pattern of destructive behaviors, not just a one-time situation. How do you know if someone's a sadist? Look for the smirk when they notice that you are in emotional pain. That, or notice how happy they get when they have caused you emotional pain and you are reacting to their abuse. My advice, run from this type. It will only get worse and their schemes only become more undetectable. The third sign is lying. This person lies for no reason, even in times where telling the truth would benefit them. The pathology of an emotional abuser can never hide itself, and lying is a part of their pathology. So say you are dating someone and ask if they have ever been to a certain store before. They say no, but as they are emptying out their trunk, you notice a bag with the label from that exact same store. Suddenly, their memory is jolted, and now they remember that they have been to that store several times before. They may lie and say they went to a specific university. However, later on, you find out that they stole that story from a friend of theirs who actually went to that university. Many times, they will take stories that they were told or stories from other people's lives and mask it as their own. Overall, these individuals will lie about anything and everything, and even when they are caught, many of them will hold on to that lie despite the evidence. In their minds, it is a way to stay in a place of power or to gain admiration, which is why they will never admit to the truth. Again, if you are dealing with this level of toxicity, hold firm to your truth. If you do not absolutely have to be around this person, then don't. The confusion is real and non-stop. The fourth sign, triangulation. Many emotional abusers will triangulate in order to maintain a grandiose sense of importance. They get their fix by indulging in the attention that this provides them. They usually create continuous triangles around the person they are seeking to control. They love the idea of people fighting over them as it feeds their overinflated ego. They may mention an ex that is not over them, tell you how much your brother or sister does for them in comparison to you if it's a parent. If it's a friend, they may tell you that your friends really don't like you after all. If you are in a relationship with a manipulative husband or wife, they may mention the amazing things their ex did in order for you to compete. You will find yourself doing these things just to get their approval and keep them from leaving you. Most of the time, these individuals are lying and only love to see you jump through hoops in order to gain or keep their approval of you. To further torment their victims, the narcissist may recruit rescuers or flying monkeys and report that they are being tormented by you, the victim. The rescuers then begin to torment the victim as well as a way of protecting the narcissist from the so-called bully, which is the victim. If you are being triangulated, you are probably feeling rejected and hurt as you trusted the narcissist. The first thing to do is to realize that you have been deliberately attacked by an emotional terrorist who schemed this plan on purpose. In other words, knock them off the pedestal you have put them on in your heart. You were bamboozled and tricked by someone without a conscience. Second, forgive and release them, as this will help you to break the trauma bond or soul tie connected to them. Next, you want to go no contact and get a good support system that believes and validates your experience. No contact will not only separate you from the source of the abuse, but will give your heart space to heal. If you are unable to go no contact because maybe you work together, live together, or have children together, you must employ the gray rock method while you strategize and plan your escape in secrecy. This means when you see each other, you do not react to them or the flying monkeys. Don't defend yourself anymore and don't explain anything. If they ask you something or are provoking you to react, you will reply with the basics and your tone of voice will be super monotone. This will frustrate them as your reaction to their provocation was their ecstasy, whether you were reacting in a positive or negative way. When you are responding with a monotone voice and not responding at all to their provoking you, they will not be able to locate you emotionally. You changed address, but they don't know where you moved emotionally. They took pleasure in knowing your triggers and poking at them to cause you to explode or chase. You're not doing that anymore. They will become very frustrated. But this is a way of guarding your heart from further abuse because they are relentless. They literally do not stop. Number 5, their words don't match their actions. Clinically, the appropriate way a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath is diagnosed is by a pervasive or continuous pattern of boundary breaking and antisocial behaviors. Of course, many are not diagnosed because they see nothing wrong with their behavior. It's the pattern that differentiates them from someone who displays this type of behavior sporadically. And one of the main things you will notice about these individuals is the discrepancy between their words and their actions. They just will not add up for any consistent amount of time. This is a form of gaslighting and can create cognitive dissonance within the mind of the victim. For instance, they may tell you that they love you but act as though you do not exist or if they don't see you. Or someone who calls you a friend may tell you how much they appreciate you and then gossip about you the very next minute. You may even notice that when you first meet them, they say that all of their exes cheated on them, but yet you're noticing that they have cheating tendencies. Or take, for example, someone who talks very soft and sweet, but has an undertone of arrogance and contempt that is seen through their actions and other nonverbal forms of communication. You will always notice an element of duality within an emotional abuser. Most of the time, who they show up as to the world is not who they really are behind closed doors. Obviously, we play different roles in life and we wear many different hats. But our character and who we are as a person is solid and remains consistent. Not so with those who have a personality disorder. If you pay attention, you will notice that the true person is always seeping through the mask. The whiskers of the wolf are always poking through the sheep's clothing that they're wearing. Number 6, you are experiencing anxiety. One of the main symptoms of emotional abuse is anxiety within the victim. If you are suffering from anxiety that just won't let up, you may want to check your circle. Of course, anxiety can have many other causes, but it is one that shows up often within the lives of victims of emotional abuse and manipulation, usually in the form of complex post-traumatic stress disorder. The constant drama, the hot and cold behaviors, the gaslighting, the sadism. This over time takes a toll on the psyche and the soul of the victim. It never ceases to amaze me how you can have someone who went to war to defend our country and have someone who was in a relationship with a narcissist, psychopath, or sociopath, and they both have the exact same symptoms when it comes to PTSD or CPTSD. The trauma one experiences within this relationship is real and life-changing, to say the least. There is also definitely something to be said about the energy emanating out of an emotional abuser. It seems to cause instant anxiety or a churning in the gut for those dealing with them. Number 7, they are playing the OneUp game. The OneUp game of an emotional abuser is intended to place you in a position of inferiority and them in a position of power and control. The person who initiates this sees every encounter as a power struggle with them having to come out on top. So for instance, if you mention that you got an A on your midterm, they got an A+ and a scholarship to the most prestigious university. If you are sick, they have it worse and may never recover. If you mention someone complimented you on your makeup, the exact same day someone complimented them on their makeup and outfit. It could even be if you mention that you dislike something. They all of a sudden like it and need to prove to you why you're wrong. This is usually done in a very subtle way. Despite the tactic used in the OneUp game, This is used to invalidate you and take your power away little by little. Usually, with these individuals, you are playing a game you never opted in to play. This is why when you are discarded or you discard this person, you leave confused and feeling absolutely powerless. It is because little by little your power was being stripped away from you unbeknownst to you. How do you win this game in the future? You simply don't play. If you look back, you will notice that you felt within yourself that this person was competing with you. But because of their covert ways of manipulating, you could not put your finger on it. Going forward, whenever you feel or even get the hint that someone is competing with you, be aware of what's going on and end that conversation or switch to another topic. If this person has a pattern of doing this, you may want to think about how far you want to take this relationship or friendship, or if you would like to continue it at all. This is not the best sign of an emotionally healthy adult. And if they are pulling this move, you can bet that there is some jealousy going on beneath the surface. Number 8, your gut is churning. I mentioned the gut feelings in another point, but it's worth speaking about on its own. If there is one thing that gives away abuse or an abusive person, it is our gut. Many times, someone says or does something that gives us an uneasy feeling. It may be a look or a comment that just does not agree with us. Usually it seems very harmless, as it is usually subtle, but our gut checks us. It alarms us to pay attention, but because we cannot make sense out of why their behavior was a big deal, we proceed with the relationship anyway. In the book, The Gift of Fear, the author talks about our gut being able to pick up on things that our minds cannot. For instance, someone can give us a certain look, say something, maybe even give us a gesture or some other form of nonverbal communication. Within our spirit, whatever they did reminds us of something that we cannot articulate verbally or put our finger on. But our spirit knows and remembers this as strange or dangerous. We have all ignored this internal warning and kicked ourselves for it later. Going forward, it is important to listen to this internal alarm system. I believe it is one of the ways that the Holy Spirit attempts to protect us. Number 9, the abuser plays victim. This is one of the nastiest moves an abuser plays. The cognitive dissonance and confusion it creates in the target is unreal. An abuser playing the victim tends to keep us in the relationship longer than necessary. This tactic is played when the personality disordered individual does something to hurt someone. When they are called out on their behavior, they say it was something you did that caused them to do what they did in the first place. They take no responsibility and are unable to self-reflect. They are now crying, extremely hurt, and calling all of your friends and family to tell them what you did. And although you try to explain your part, number 1, this person got to everyone first. And number 2, what you did caused them to do it, so their actions are justified. Their abuse is justified, according to them. For instance, this person cheats on you. And I use this example a lot because with the people that I have worked with, this was a major issue in their relationship with someone with a personality disorder. So this person cheats on you. You call them out and express how hurt you are. How could they have done this? Their response? You never spent time with me anymore. We've had so many children, so the intimacy isn't the same as it used to be. Or you've gained too much weight. Another example of playing the victim could be that your coworker used your work and passed it on as their own. And now they have gotten a promotion because of their fabulous work. Of course, you try to explain to the boss that this is your work, but you have no way of proving it, and the abuser won't fess up. Their response? You know that they needed this raise. Their family has been struggling and they are about to get evicted from their home. They barely have anything to eat. How could you attempt to expose them to the boss? How dare you do that knowing that they are down on their luck? It could even be that the toxic individual you are dealing with is known for consistently exploiting you in some way. You confront them. They apologize, but a day later, they send you pictures of themselves in the hospital because now they are sick. Only they've done this before, and come to think of it, it has always been right after you've called them out on their bad behavior or when you've threatened to leave. This is an easy tactic to draw the victim back into the web of emotional abuse and manipulation. To them, the relationship is not fun if you are not being manipulated. They are highly allergic to healthy forms of relating to another person. They don't have the components necessary to function in a healthy way. If the victim is unaware of what is going on, they may not know that these actions are abusive. They may have a sense that they are being duped, but that feeling is soon overshadowed with guilt and sympathy for the abuser. They then come to see these individuals as a victim, not as a manipulator. Do you see the danger and trap of this tactic? It is a very covert way to abuse someone, and they usually get away with it because their abuse flies under the radar. It is important to trust yourself and what you are seeing. Also, we need to make sure that we are observing a person's behavioral patterns and not their words. This will tell us everything we need to know about someone. And lastly, number 10, they take you through the cycle. Many of you are aware of the cycle someone with a personality disorder takes their victim through. They love bomb you, which is to charm you. They devalue you, and then they discard, which is to leave you. Usually the discard is done in a horrific and unexpected way. I won't stay too long on this point, but just want to mention that if you have been in a relationship with a real narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath, you will be taken through this cycle in a variety of forms. This entails hot and cold behaviors, ghosting you, and you not hearing from them for days, only for them to come back and charm you and then devalue you or bring you down in some way, discard you again, and then rinse and repeat. This cycle chips away at your self-worth and has the potential to create trauma as you are being accepted and rejected continuously by someone you are head over heels for. And if your primary wound as a child was rejection, you are being re-triggered constantly, which may be causing you to chase them. This is a very chaotic and traumatizing way to live.